Yeah, they're just gonna come back to us with change orders.
Exactly.
So these are our favorites, or,
Those are all the things.
All
Oh,
the
they're
bids,
all
yeah,
here.
all the
Okay, I
prices,
see.
yeah. No, these aren't our favorites, these are just what was in there. You can go through them too and kind of see some of the differences that I was,
6 o'clock.
this is my favorite.
6
Ready?
o'clock, yep.
Okay, this is the August 28th meeting of the Village of Millbrook Board of Trustees. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, will do a roll call.
Mayor Halvey,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Herzog.
Here.
Trustee Cantino.
here,
Trustee Dora.
Okay, great. You all see the agenda. I've added a couple of things we talked about when we get to them. I'd like to start off with the resolution to update the bond for the wastewater treatment plant. I'm going to call. We put together this resolution. I'd like him to be here for this discussion, so let's go on to the other things on the agenda. The next topic is the awarding the contract for the Washington Avenue storm drain replacement. Now you see in front of you the 6 submissions, just to sort through the vast difference in the bids. And I think we settled for $80,090 and race septic for $90,000 flat. You want to kick off the discussion?
Yeah, essentially. Well, we reached out to both, we don't know the people from TNA that well.
Right.
So we reached out to people from Pauling, wherever they're from, and we got some updates on their work to see what kind of quality job
Right,
they
actually,
do.
they gave me a response of,
Exactly.
here's the last 5 jobs that they did.
Yep.
And I did talk to the supervisor of the village of Pauling, and
They can work there.
she said that they were very happy with the work they did there. Actually, they did a job for them which sounded similar, it was sewer work. And she said she was very happy with their work quality.
And then we also went through races, and I mean, there's pros and cons to both, obviously, but race is local. I like using people that are local, you know, so we have to come up with a decision and justify why we're using who.
Okay, fine. So first off, any other questions about the other 4 submissions, which were quite a ways from the 2 we're discussing?
No.
All right, another thing I need y'all to know is this. Our plan was to use CHIPS money, New York State CHIPS money for this, which our balance right now is $96,000. We're spending $32,000 on next Wednesday for Peckham to do oil and stone and Maple Avenue. All right, which leaves us a balance available of $64,000. So based on the decision we make here, we'll be short either $16,000 if we go with TNA or $26,000 if we go with race, which we would have to fund. So first off, questions about that, as far as a way to fund this thing.
What's the H&L account again?
Say it.
What's the H&L account again?
This is the consolidated trust fund account that we liquidated a few years ago. There were a series of funds that have been set up that were basically to petition the Attorney General's office to allow us to liquidate those accounts, and we did. And that's what we've been using. It's on the monthly statement. We call it H&L, which is it was the three trust funds.
Yeah.
I forget the name of them. N was the 9 Partners Trust.
Yeah.
H was a hate everything. Lamont Trust, that's right, we're the 3. Yeah. All right. So currently in there is, how much you're looking at right now?
17.8.
17, okay, so that doesn't fully cover the, if we use the, if we didn't, if we took the Tim Race, no, other money we have available, that I mentioned to you last month. One of the things I want the board to agree today is allow us to sell 125 shares of Newmont stock that we have, to liquidate that, because that also was a donation to the village many, many years ago, and we don't even have the shares anymore. So this is a request for the clerk to send a, for $260, a request to the company to reissue the shares of stock so we could sell them. I think I told you that Newmont is the largest gold mining company in the world, but we have no record of where this stock came from. And right now we just received the quarterly dividends, which is like, I'm gonna say, not $100. My proposal is to sell the stock, which is valued at about $6,000 right now, just to liquidate it. And other money we have available, we have the Sugar Garden Trust Fund, which is in the range of like $15,000 right now, and we have the remaining of the FEMA money that Trustee Contino and Sarah had gotten, which the balance now is monthly meetings. Okay, so we have money available we can transfer to fund this up, which we need to do for either way, either choice we make. So with that caveat, discussions, questions, comments about the two different choices.
Looking at the two different choices, Ray Septic seemed to be pretty specific about things that they were going to do. And the other proposal just basically had one sentence. So I was just curious, are there things that Ray's is intending to do to justify the extra $10,000 that may not be done by TNA?
Well, let me tell you this, because Pat highlighted that to me first time we saw it. And I will tell you that, all right, but had gotten questions about what kind of a detail do you want in the response. And I just said basically the price and the commitment that you will meet, the contracts by. They will meet all the items in my email. And they responded back on Saturday and said that they would. All right.
Board's opinion.
Also,
Sorry?
I don't think the board's opinion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all things being equal, to the deputy mayor's point, Tim, we know Tim, he's done a lot of work for the village over the years, and, if there ever was an issue, we could find him on the street and talk to him, so
Sure.
I like that.
Mike?
I think I agree with Peter. I think I like to go with local where I can. We can go back to a local contractor and say, we want something with this and this. Or if we come up with something during the destruction of pulling up the street we don't expect, I'd much rather be working with someone local we had before to deal with it.
Okay. Vicki?
I think I agree with what's been said.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
I totally agree. I think we should use Tim. I think that his son being in the bond.
Trustee Drove, you're having your water line hooked in there, right?
Sewer.
The sewer, and by who?
Well, my part's already done,
Lee Woods.
Lee has to connect to the sewer.
Okay.
Sewer and water.
Sewer and water, okay. And who's doing that job?
It
Coordinating?
needs to be
For
done
sure.
before.
Yeah.
I mean, he might go with Tim, but,
And so then again, for the financing, the $26,000 that we don't have with CHIPS, you all agree that we will use money that we have available that's outside the budget to fund the remaining delta. Any problem with that?
no.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. We'll go with Ray Septic. I'll notify him tomorrow. Well, first, let me just cover this thing. Any questions or comments from the board regarding this request to, with your signature on this page drawn up by the clerk, for us to issue a request to have shares of stock issued for new.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then can I circulate this to you to sign this? I'll sign first.
Tim, before we make this call again, could you just tee up the discussion points that you wanna have, just in case we should do it in an executive session or something?
Fine. In 2022, we had a presentation by Delaware with a proposal to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant for a total of $7 million. And as part of that, we had Ian draw up the paperwork required for us to pass a resolution to be able to fund a bond to be able to cover that. This is before we did any grant requests, all right? And that's what they used to submit the WIA grant, all right? And we have to have proof of having a bond resolution on the board, approved by the board, to say that we're in this for real, okay? And so we did that, submitted the WIA request, got the grant, all right? Now we've switched from Delaware Engineering to time bond, and the cost estimate from time bond is no longer $7 million, or actually went to $7.35 million by Delaware when there was a year delay in a WIA grant, from $7.35 million to $10 million, actually 9.6. And so what we need to do is update the bond resolution to cover the possible grant requirements. All right, and that's the reason for this. And so since EFC, who issues the grant to us, requires us to have bond counsel in order to handle this stuff, and their work is covered by the grant, instead of having Ian go and redo the resolution, I just thought, Karen actually suggested we have Robert Smith from bond counsel at the company. Hawkins, right, yeah, just do the work, and that's what he did. I contacted him last week and he turned around quite quickly. So that cover your question?
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question about that before I call in? If it doesn't answer this time, we'll fire him and get somebody else. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
It's a good joke.
Tim Colopy here from the Village of Millbrook.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So I'm here with the Board of Trustees, and we, Sarah, do we have the resolution in front of us?
Yes.
Where?
It's the one that.
Oh, it's attached to the, Okay, Bob, we had a discussion about this, but just why don't you give us an overview first off of what your role is as bond counsel for us and what the resolution says.
Sure. Our role as bond counsel is essentially special counsel for finance matters. So we work with towns and villages and other municipalities. Generally, my practice is, of course, New York State. I specialize in local governments in New York. And we have special counsel because of the fact that when debt is being issued, banks and others who might buy it will insist on a legal opinion from what's referred to as basically a qualified law firm that's in there's a publication called the Red Book that you get published in. Once you know a certain amount, you demonstrate a certain knowledge of bond counsel matters. So that's why local governments hire bond counsel as a specialized finance counsel, essentially. And our opinion covers state law matters as to the due authorization. For example, the adoption of this resolution tonight and the instructions that we give on publication and posting notices and other matters that have to happen to make this bond resolution effective, as well as federal tax matters, because the intention is to issue these bonds on a tax-exempt basis. So part of our opinion says to the purchaser that they are genuinely federally tax-exempt. So this resolution is, of course, an amendment of one that was done in 2022. The recitals in the beginning sort of outline the history, whereas it was a resolution adopted in July of 2022, which authorized $7 million in bonds. And then the second recital, whereas it's now been determined that the cost is actually $10 million, and it's necessary to appropriate an additional amount, which is essential in terms of authorizing bonds, that is an appropriation for that amount, and then an increase in the amount of bonds authorized from 7 adopted on July 27th of 22 is hereby amended to read as follows. And then there's kind of an entire replacement of the resolution. In substance, it's the same. It's authorizing certain projects, the upgrades and improvements of the wastewater treatment plant, There's a certain amount of detail there as to what is to be done, which is outlined in the engineer's report. And then this resolution now, the revised version, states amounts of 10 million in bonds. Makes the same delegations to chief fiscal officer, the treasurer. So certain delegations go to the chief fiscal officer to sign documents, to make determinations about when and how much to issue. This resolution also states the maximum borrowing period that long, but we generally recommend authorizing the resolution for maximum flexibility, the maximum period that's allowed by law. So for this project, by statute, the maximum is 40 years, so that's what you see here. So the delegations also deal with taking actions for purposes of preserving federal tax exemption on bonds. And that's the sum and substance of what's there. The resolution also talks about doing publication. This resolution is subject to a permissive referendum, which maybe you're very familiar with, or maybe you're not, I'm sure, but sum and substance. A mandatory referendum is where the board decides there shall be a vote on this action. This is not a mandatory referendum, it's a permissive referendum, meaning that there will be a publication of the resolution, and if the public comes in with a petition demanding to have a vote, then the board would have to schedule a vote. It does not happen very often, but it's something we should discuss, and it is referred to in this resolution. It's required for this resolution because of the fact that you're proposing to borrow for a period in excess of 5 years. So it's required to do that publication, wait 30 days, and assuming there's not a petition received by the village clerk, summary of the resolution, which is what the village clerk will place in the newspaper, no later than 10 days from today, or else the bond resolution does not become effective. Also in that package is the affidavit of posting, requiring, the same notice gets posted in 6 conspicuous places in the village. And that is the whole authorization process, kind of in a nutshell. There will be one other publication that I will send out sometime in the next couple of weeks. We don't usually like to send them all together, but to the clerk and to the mayor, we will send out a second publication, which is what's referred to as the estoppel publication. That one has nothing to do with a referendum. It's really just a severely shortened statute of limitations that applies to bond resolutions and bond resolutions only in New York State. So about 2 or 3 weeks from now, we'll send that out. We're getting pretty close to the end of the 30-day period for this first publication. We'll get the second one in, and then there will be a shortened statute of limitations just in case anyone wants to challenge this. I don't think they will or can, but if you're aware, the general statute of limitations for a resident to challenge an action taken by the board is 4 months. The procedural law in New York. If we do this brief publication that we'll do a couple of weeks from now, the 4 months is shortened down to 20 days, and it's very valuable, and that's why it's worth putting in the newspaper.
Okay.
And that would be the whole thing.
Okay, so Bob, hang on. So first off, does the clerk have any questions about the requirements?
No, I got it.
Okay, so Clerk Sarah Witt is understanding of everything she needs to do. Good. Any questions from the board regarding what Bob just said?
No.
Okay. All right, so Bob, we're ready then to take the vote. Walk us through the process of offering the resolution and then getting to a vote.
Yeah, well, we just need a roll call vote for the clerk. There'd be a roll call. We have to have at least 2/3 of the full voting strength. Are all board members present?
Yeah. Yes.
Available to vote?
Yes.
So there must be at least 4 yes votes in order to adopt the resolution.
Okay, so
at least a 2/3.
all right, so do we need a motion here to introduce the resolution and?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll make a motion from Trustee Doral and get a second.
I'll second.
Trustee Herzog seconded. Okay, Bob, what do we do now?
Then if the clerk just calls for a roll call vote and goes to each of the members for a yes or a no.
Okay.
Mayor Cowley,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Aye.
Trustee Herzog,
Aye.
Trustee Cantino,
Aye.
Trustee Doral.
Aye.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, so I think you have 5 yeses and no nos, is that what I heard?
That's correct.
Okay, so as it says at the end, the clerk will review that is 5 ayes, 0 noes, and deem the resolution to be adopted.
Okay, good. Anything else?
That's it, and I'd be happy to be in touch tomorrow to just confirm all the publications, everything, but it sounds like you have it in hand.
Okay, so we've
Two
got
hands, 2 hands.
leave your number if we need to, we'll give you a call.
Yeah, feel free.
Thanks a lot, Bob, appreciate it.
Okay, great.
Have a
Right,
good evening. Goodbye.
You too. Bye.
Okay. All right, next thing is the speed sign. So I reported at the last board meeting that the DOT rejected the request to lower the speed limit on Franklin. I'd like to pursue then implementing the reduction in the speed of the village roads, village-owned roads, across the board to 25 miles an hour. Okay, now, what I want to do is I'm going to order the signage, have it in hand, and then figure out what the schedule of the DPW crew, when's a good time that they can go out en masse to convert like all at once, the signs throughout the village. And so I've met with the guy from Glencoe who does our signs, and he's given me the requirements. So the proposal is 24 by 30 inch signs, which are the signs you see on Franklin, relatively bigger signs, all right, that says village speed limit 25. And then a header on top of it, so that sign will be black on white, ones you see on Franklin. And there'll be a header on top, a black on yellow, black like this, that says new, which is attachable, and then we can take it off after like 6 months or so. All right. Now, going through the village, there's a total of 23 signs today. If we count which of the ones are on the village roads today, and which ones are adders, because we don't have the, because we have to put a sign at the church, like at front, and North Avenue, all right? So that adds to the list of signs we need, makes a total of 23. And the cost of those, plus one surface mount, they don't need to go and drill that in concrete, but they do have a problem on Church, Audius building. The run along up Church, there's no place to put a sign. The requirement is it has to be 100 feet from the start of the road. The sign has to be in place. It has to be within 12 feet of the edge of the road.
It's a requirement?
Yeah,
Like even Friendly, such a short road, we need a sign on Friendly?
yeah. Because they're changing from 30 to 25. Chief, correct me if I'm wrong here, right?
Yeah, in order for us to enforce it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the only trick is on Church by Audius, they're gonna need to put a surface mount bracket into the concrete in front of the telephone pole. Central Hudson won't let us, or Verizon, whoever it is, won't let us, we'll need to put something into the concrete. All right. So with the signs, with the surface mount, and with the new posts that we need for the new signs along Franklin, the cost is $3,000. And we have $1,100 remaining from True Garden, who gave us $2,500 last year to take care of signage and those things we put in the street, like the no standing signs and the crosswalk signs. All right. So I need to take $1,900 out of the available non-budget funds to cover the whole cost of that. All right. $3,000, $1,100 covered by the Tree Garden, $1,900 I need to pull from other funds that are available. And this is a non-budget item. All right. Any questions about that?
Any movement with State Senator Hinchy?
I met her, made a specific request of that, and she promised to petition DOT, and she gave me no time frame. So I think it's a small chance of success.
I only thought, it's late, obviously, for this, but just a sort of overload of signs, like, additional signs that we never had before in the village.
Mm-hmm.
So just,
Yeah, the overload would be 8 additional.
yeah.
It's 8 additional.
Especially in,
But it's right along the main drag. Yeah. And I do want to go with the bigger signs because I want to be able to.
I missed the beginning of the discussion, I'm sorry, so why do we need more signs?
Because DOT rejected the request to lower the speed limit on Franklin. So on all these side roads, when you're driving on Franklin,
You
you
have to
turn
make it
onto
clear
front, you
that
get to
there's a
see a sign that
difference.
says 25, because there's 30 there. Okay, so that's,
And how long do those signs have?
Just a new part.
yeah, the new part would be, temporary.
Yeah, alright, but those are gonna be permanently there forever, the 9 new ones, in other words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, alright.
Well, we passed the law, so it's,
yeah, but I'll only go and get a supervisor comes on board, I'll make that a top priority. But I'll make the signs ordered in hand, so we're ready to go as soon as they are. All right?
And I assume these new additional signs are required to enforce any tickets that we, right.
There's also a requirement according to Glen Code to have a sign every 1,100 feet. So for example, on Nine Partners, today we have a sign on both ends and 2 signs in the middle. It's outside 1,100 feet, but it's close.
I don't think that would be argued, I don't think it'd be argued in court if that's
Yeah, okay,
really
fine.
where we come up. And
All right.
as long as it's
Likewise-
clearly posted is what they look for.
Yeah, and we also have one on Harts Village, in the middle of Harts Village.
Right.
So, okay,
That'd be
fine.
sufficient.
All right, fine. That's what the Glen Code guy said too.
All right.
Should I take a vote on that, Sarah? I'm gonna use money. So I guess I should take a vote on
Want
it.
to see a motion?
All right, so I'd like to get a motion to, be able to order the signs for the new village speed limit.
I'll make that
In a
motion.
second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Alright.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right,
Just while we're on traffic, really quickly.
Yes.
A resident approached me the other day who lives on, Alden. Coming down Alden into church, there is, I guess some shrubs on the right side,
yeah,
and it's hard for people to see.
Yeah.
I think.
we've been since then out there and did what I thought was a pretty good job of trimming those bushes back.
Okay, good.
The problem is, I understand the concern. I mean, it's still, they did a very good job. The sidewalk is clear. Just like down there, I asked this guy down here to do his bushes the second time. The sidewalk is clear, but you're right, it's high. I don't know what we can do about that. Like the neighbor, the problem is that the bushes are high enough, now they're neatly trimmed, but you can't see over. So,
Chief, is there any tie-in with police where a person has to be able to see around?
I can look into that, but I don't believe so.
well, my concern, Chief, is not so much the traffic, because you gotta stop there anyway, it's a stop sign.
Right,
It's pedestrians walking up there, hidden by the bushes,
sure.
and they pop out and before you know it, they're trying to cross the crosswalk. I don't know, it's never happened, it's never been a problem. We've had complaints about that before.
Mm.
And all I've done so far is just complain to the landlord,
Yeah.
and they've been responsible twice this year, they've gone out and done it.
Well.
But if you could check and let us know,
Absolutely.
all right?
Thank you.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to say to the guy, can you make it the same size as your neighbor?
Right. Okay.
Because that's a nice short, relatively short. Anyway, okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Another issue not on the agenda, the chief has proposed, sent out an email, I think I sent it to you all, that we start the process of purchasing a new police vehicle to retire the 2016 vehicle that's number 2 on the list out there in the parking lot now. Sarah, I asked her, what's the timeline? So the story is this, the final payment on the newer of the police cars is January of 2025. And so we would normally, as part of a budget process, next spring, go through the process of putting a new car on the list of things we would consider for the budget. If we can start the process now, and it's a total cost loaded $51,000, the proposal is that we start the process now with Kurt going out for bids to the bank. And according to her scheduling right here, if we start the process now, we would be able to get the loan from the bank, purchase the vehicle, and our first payment due back to the bank would be in the next budget. All right? So given that timeline, any questions, any issues with the chief, with first step being the clerk getting bids?
No,
All right, so can I get a motion to approve the clerk soliciting bids for the eventual purchase of a new police vehicle? That motion carries, thank you.
Will we then sell this,
Yes.
the other vehicle?
Right,
Any cars has gone up so much, I think we'll get something out of it, yeah,
the lights and stuff might be worth something.
right? They're pretty old.
Oh, they are, okay, those are total, okay. I don't know.
We have probably 3 cars.
Yeah.
All right, then 2 other issues before we go to executive session. One of them is that the planning board secretary, Kristen DeFiore, resigned yesterday. All right, and so I discussed this with Ken and with Frank Riddle. And Ken has a proposal he's working on. It's still in the works, so I don't want to share it yet, but I'll let you know as soon as he's got something more definitive to bring forward, possibly at the next board meeting. But we're working now on finding a replacement for Kristen. Okay.
Was she also the ZBA secretary?
She was also the ZBA secretary, right. Frank is willing to handle the secretarial duties for the planning board for the next month or two, while he bridges this gap. And there's nothing on the ZBA's docket in the foreseeable future, so Mark Vila knows about it, and he's okay with us pursuing this alternative that Ken has proposed. And the last thing is that Deputy Mayor and I had started the interviews of the DPW candidates yesterday. We have a total of 11 now. And we were scheduled as 3 yesterday, 3 tomorrow, 2 next Tuesday, and 3 the following Wednesday. At which point, we hope to come up with the top 3 list by that weekend, in which case I want to meet with you and go through all 11 of the candidates to see if there's anybody else we want to put on our top 3 list. And then we would notify all the candidates their status, and including the top 3 or more, schedule a meeting with the board. Now, our next board meeting is on the 11th of September. I'd like to know if the board would be willing to have a separate meeting on the 18th to have the interview with the top 3 candidates. Does that work for you guys? September 18th.
I'll have to check my calendar to see how much.
Okay, fine. We can schedule, it doesn't have to be then, but I just pick a Wednesday, the next Wednesday at the board meeting. But do check and let me know.
That's not a good night for me, so.
No? Okay, so what's an alternative?
We always have the second.
I'm sorry?
We always have the second meeting, like this meeting.
So in other words,
always
the
reserved.
25th?
Yeah, whatever the date is.
Okay. So the deal is this, once we do the interview, once we do the 3 interviews, then the board identifies who we offer to. And then we want that person to receive a, no, before, I guess the offer will be contingent upon passing a, what kind of test, chief? We said we wanted a DMV abstract
Yes, sir.
to find out the history of their
Driving history.
driving history, right? And then a drug and alcohol test.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the offer, we make the offer with the contingency that they pass those tests.
Do background checks too?
I'm sorry?
Do we do background checks?
We don't, what do
It'd
you
be a
think?
good idea to do a background investigation, doesn't have to be as lengthy as we do for the police officers.
Okay.
But I think that, and then if they, looks good and the board approves them after the background investigation is approved, then the board can offer them a conditional offer of employment. And that gives you the authority to go ahead and have them take the drug screen and background check first. After the panel interviews, once you've selected narrowed down your
So
candidate.
we select the candidate, then do a background check. How long does that typically take?
Depends on how in-depth you want to go. I think it's just something we have to format, which wouldn't take long.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that later in terms of what that would require. Then we would do the drug alcohol,
Conditional offer of employment, and then.
conditional offer,
Right,
and then the drug alcohol.
yes.
And we do that to just the top candidate.
Yes.
Okay. So the problem is that, let's say we have three top candidates, the 2 have to sit there waiting
Well, you're gonna narrow it down to one person, right?
Right.
So once they come off the list, then you go to number, whatever
Okay,
number two is.
so of the 11, 8 we will at that time told them they're not, right? The 3 get the interview. What do I tell the 2 others who aren't the top selection? Because they're kind of like holding for the top guy to.
I think that's something we can discuss afterward.
The financial world, I'm sure it's different than the municipal world. Contingent on whatever, background check, drug screening,
Yep.
etc. Background check in New York, you can't even check things like credit. I think it's illegal.
Was that right?
And it's like pretty quick the same. But,
Okay. Well, we have.
Is that to go?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. No, I think what Trustee Doro said is pretty much usually a contract with them, like TLL or LexisNexis or one of those, and they'll do a very thorough and whatever other criteria you have involved in your background.
All right, fine. So that sounds good then. If the background 2 people that they're not selected, all right. I just don't like having 2 people hanging out waiting. So that makes sense?
With the candidate that was selected, however.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Fine. Okay. Fine. Okay. So then the date.
We're
So
talking about the 25th now?
yeah, I guess the 25th.
That's the last Wednesday.
Yeah, that will be the second Wednesday of the month. How's the 25th look?
I can do that.
Third Wednesday.
Problem with the 25th?
For me.
I don't believe so.
should be fine.
Okay, good. Let's plan for the 25th. For the interview of the top candidates.
Is that okay in terms of leaf pickup? I mean, we're getting into the fall then, so it's.
It's getting
It
close,
is
but I don't
what it
think
is,
so.
I guess.
I think we're okay. Yeah. Okay, any other topics to discuss tonight before we go into executive session? All right, just to note, the next board meeting will be on September 11th. We'll be back at the firehouse on September 11th. All right. Okay, with that, I'd like to ask the rep from Northern News to please leave so we can go to executive.
Can the Military News ask 2 quick things? What's
Sure.
Bob's name on the phone?
Bob Smith,
Okay. He's a bond counsel.
yes.